What political scandal was so absurd it seemed like fiction? Political scandals often seem so absurd and unrealistic that it's hard to believe they actually happened. A few unbelievable examples: Trump holding a press conference at a landscaping company next to an adult store after losing the 2020 election, to crack smoking Toronto mayor caught on video, to Watergate burglary that brought down Nixon's presidency, a British PM's wife publishing explicit memoirs about their affair. These scandals are so outrageous, they seem like fiction, that reality truly can be stranger than imagination when it comes to political controversy. Sharpiagate. The Hurricane Dorian Alabama controversy to 1893 Alabama controversy. Then President Trump accidentally included Alabama in a list of states that would be impacted by incoming Hurricane Dorian. Reporters of a hurricane track that had been altered with a black Sharpie marker to include Alabama, as well as making a NOAA retroactively report that Alabama had been included in the initial warnings. First year living on a Caribbean island, there was a debate on the parliament floor between a local politician and a European politician. The island still has colonial financial ties. The local politician said, "You're not from here. I'm from here. My wife is from here. My girlfriend is from here, and my side piece is from here. F you. You're not from here on the record." Not the worst corruption nor biggest scandal, but definitely one of the funniest scandals I've heard in my time there. The only absurdity for me is the lack of career-ending scandals. So much has been done that would have decimated careers of 100 people. And ... crickets chirping. In the last 10 years, the sanctity of everything has been evaporated. Worse, the political disparity between both parties is effectively Al Franklin and Donald Trump on scale, on event and accountability. And the public, holy shit, the public, and can't be bothered to understand, not care about the difference. Tom Scott's had some doozies on his different quiz shows YouTube channels. My top 3. The smallest skyscraper in America, https U2. DEXGQGMMRXONK. Seedkunges 1BHT2. Where the blueprints were in inches instead of feet. John Stonehouse https U2. DC666J39S3W. CS1HLUSKYGW885JOE. The UK Postmaster General who faked his own death. Churaku is just hilarious. Sarah Huckabee Sanders paying $19,000 to her close friend for a lectern. The most expensive lectern is about $7,000. She and said friend then went on a Paris vacation. The local Republican Party then wrote to be reimbursed on the receipt. Most absurd to me is Huckabee Sanders trying to make it illegal to prosecute a governor. The official report comes out tomorrow. That should be enlightening. The guy was put in jail by the military using politicians as puppets. The guy went on to break free from the prison in the cover of night and escaped to Africa, struck a deal with the rivaling country for protection, and supplied supporters of his political party with guns to stir chaos. He would pop up on the TV every now and then singing and acting randomly. He was clearly mentally unwell. The Pizzagate conspiracy theory. This false claim alleged that high-ranking Democratic officials are involved in a child sex trafficking ring operating out of the basement of a pizzeria in Washington, D.C., despite the complete lack of evidence. The conspiracy theory gained traction online and even led to a man firing a rifle inside the pizzeria while investigating the claims. People have already mentioned some of the real beauties from Trump, dominated by him and his staff trying to explain how his inauguration was the largest ever despite photographic evidence to the contrary. They spent weeks explaining why the actual photos were wrong. A utility company bribes the Speaker of the Ohio House with $60 million to pass legislation to provide $1 billion in subsidies for 2 old nuclear power plants. It is so audaciously corrupt it would have to be fiction, right? Nope. Welcome to the very real scandal of House Bill 6. Busloads of ginned up cousin fucking idiots attacking the sitting government of the United States of America because their dumb goddamned cult leader was a crybaby sore loser, and he got away unpunished. And he's in the running for president again. Impossible to believe. The Bridgegate scandal in New Jersey in 2013. Governor Chris Christie's administration orchestrating lane closures on the George Washington Bridge as political retribution against the mayor of Fort Lee, who didn't endorse Christie's re-election bid. I'm an older American, studies in school in the 1970s and 1980s. I couldn't believe that our Capitol building in Washington would be attacked during an insurrection directed and hosted by the President of the United States. Not a scandal per se, but in 2022, the UK government basically imploded twice, and we had a prime minister that infamously lasted less than a supermarket lettuce. The lettuce has its own Wikipedia page. Marion Barry, former Washington, D.C. mayor. Scandal part was he was popped by the feds smoking crack in a hotel room and ultimately sentenced to prison for 6 months. The unbelievable part is several years later he was re-elected mayor of D.C. The Great Balloon Crisis of 2023 was it? Or the Helium Boogaloo, as I am referring to the wayward Chinese balloon incident that's led the US to shoot a bunch of non-spy-related objects out of the sky on top of the balloon. Of the UK having a scandal about fucking a dead pig's head, it was so crazy, especially because there had been a Black Mirror episode revolving around a similar premise released quite soon before it. Larry Craig and his wide stance. I have a very clear memory of his wife on some prime-time interview show disputing the claim that his balls looked like a particular fruit, saying they more resembled a different fruit. The tragic end of the scale. There's the mass deaths at Jonestown and the perpetrator's ties to the San Francisco city government, followed days later by the assassinations of the mayor and Harvey Milk. The Trump presidency in its entirety, and the whole run-up of a possible probably Trump presidency again, especially because this time it will be someone who is currently under 93 criminal indictments. When then Governor of North Carolina Mark Sanford disappeared for a week, and his staff initially said he was hiking the Appalachian Trail, but he was actually in Argentina banging his mistress. Dick Cheney realizing that the country has elected a very useful idiot, and then spending Bush's entire presidency figuring out ways to mislead the country in ways that were profitable to him. The St. Louis area has some good ones in recent memory. Steve Stenger was St. Louis County executive and was on the take and openly soliciting kickbacks from contractors. He went to prison. Toronto Mayor Rob Ford is by far my favorite. Some really great video out there. But the bars moved to the point where freebasing in a seedy motel with the hookers now called Tuesday Night. A government minister who then went on to be head of state importing arms for the domestic terrorist army. Mark Sanford's South Carolina governor went missing for a week. His spokesperson said he was hiking the Appalachian Trail. Turns out he was in Argentina with his mistress. South Carolina's Republican Governor Mark Sanford went missing for 6 days. His press secretary said he was hiking the Appalachian and had a girlfriend in Argentina. Jeremy Thorpe, it's got everything from bungling hitman accidentally whacking the pet dog, to gay sex, to hovercraft. The mayor of Badalona being stopped for speeding under the influence and being outside of his confinement area during the pandemic and then biting a police officer. COVID is a Democrat hossex. Fucker wants to be in charge again after bungling a pandemic response and making off with intelligence secrets and lying about it. So many things from the Trump admin probably made the writers of Veep wish they'd thought of it first. i.e. Sharpiegate and Four Seasons landscaping. Just bonkers. South Africa. The health minister left coronavirus patients to die in tents, and when he got questioned he demanded an apology from the broadcaster. £1 OK on biscuits in a year. Yes. A former UK MP had to respond to a newspaper attacking him for spending £10,000 on biscuits in a single year. Chinese foreign ministers suddenly disappear from public life because of affairs with a Chinese news anchor. reports that he has been killed. A US vice president shot his buddy in the face while hunting birds with clipped wings. Then had the friend apologize on national TV. Got a dude that rallied a mob of idiot sheep to attempt a coup and failed. Somehow still running for president couple years later. Tractorgate: a British MP was caught watching porn in the Commons and claimed he was trying to find pictures of tractors. Pizzagate. Simon. A secret dungeon under a pizza shop that is supposedly backed by a Democrat deep state. Bill Clinton getting his dick sucked by a 22-year-old while president in his office. Dude, WTF. Monica Lewinsky. But it made sense at the time since people were particularly stupid in the 90s. South African President Ramaphosa got a couple of millions stolen from a couch on his farm. A president not being charged because the prosecutor says he's too old and has bad memory. Hillary Clinton had an IT guy named Seth Rich at the DNC murdered for leaking her emails. The president getting a blowjob in the Oval Office from an intern was pretty surreal. The Iran-Contra scandal is pretty wild. I'm surprised I haven't seen it mentioned yet. Trump was fiction, until Back to the Future Part 2 became a predictive documentary. The Perfumer affair in the UK is another political scandal that seemed like fiction. Trump attempting to overthrow the election, it smelled of BS, in fact reeked of it. Toronto mayor caught smoking crack and spiraling into political rants on camera. Dan Qualley spelling potato wrong once and everyone losing their shit over it. Anthony Weiner being unable to stop sending women photos of an ex-president hiding a shit ton of secret documents next to his toilet. Actual Polish Prime Minister throwed a ex-Prime Minister Fortnite slur.